All right, listen, what we're about to dive into isn't just another boxing match. It's not just two people throwing punches for belts and paychecks. This is one of those rare rivalries that feels like it was written in the fucking stars, because when you talk about Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall, you're talking about history, you're talking about pride, you're talking about two fighters who've been circling each other for more than a decade. And every time their names get mentioned in the same sentence, people lean in, they perk up because it's different. It's not just hype, it's real, it's raw, it's got layers. And that's why fans are obsessed with this rematch, because the first time we saw it, it was electric, it was tense, it felt like unfinished business. And now in 2025, with everything on the line, this fight has the potential to change women's boxing forever. So buckle up, because we're about to break down the origin, the clash of styles, the stakes, the brutality, the business, and the legacy, all of it, unfiltered, raw, the way fight talk is meant to be. You know what's wild, man? This whole rivalry between Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall didn't just pop up in the pros. It goes all the way back to 2012, the fucking Olympics, and at that time, Claressa was just this 17-year-old kid out of Flint, Michigan. Nobody really knew her. She's raw, she's hungry, she's got this crazy intensity in her eyes, and she runs into Savannah Marshall, who's already established, already hyped up as one of the best amateur boxers in the world, and Marshall beats her. Hand shield's the only loss of her amateur career, and that's the kind of thing that sticks with you forever, like a scar on your record you can't erase. And that moment planted the seed for one of the most compelling rivalries in all of combat sports, because from then on, everything Shields accomplished, Olympic golds, world titles, undisputed status, there was always this little shadow following her, this whisper in the background saying, yeah, but remember, Savannah Marshall beat her once, and you could tell it fueled her. It became this fire in her chest. And at the same time, Marshall carried that win like a badge of honor, like an ace up her sleeve. She knew she could always say, I'm the one who did it, and that's where this thing becomes so fascinating, because it's not just two great fighters colliding. It's a story about pride, about redemption, about unfinished business that started in an Olympic ring when one teenager lost a fight that turned into the backbone of her career. And the crazy part is both of them have lived with that narrative for more than a decade. Both of them shaped by it, driven by it. And no matter what belts or accolades they've picked up along the way, that night in 2012 has always been the ghost standing between them. Man, when these two finally collided in the pros in 2022 at the O2 Arena, it wasn't just a fight. It was like a cultural fucking earthquake. Because think about it, you've got Claressa Shields walking into enemy territory. She's in London, Marshall's backyard, and the atmosphere is insane. Sold out crowd, people chanting, booing. The energy felt like a football stadium on fire. And this wasn't just hype. This was 10 years of storyline boiling over. Shields carrying that chip on her shoulder from the amateurs, Marshall carrying the pride of being the only one who ever beat her. And when the bell rang, you could see instantly how different the levels were. Shields came out like a technician possessed. The hand speed, the combinations, the defense, the swagger. She was painting a picture in there, while Marshall was trying to drag her into a slugfest using that awkward power. Leaning, pressuring, trying to land that big shot. But round after round, you could feel Shields pulling ahead. She was just sharper, slicker, and by the time it went to the scorecards, there wasn't much doubt. Shields won clear and became undisputed. And in that moment, the narrative flipped completely. Now, Marshall wasn't the girl who beat Shields. She was the one who couldn't get it done when it mattered most. And that's what made the rematch question burn even hotter, because people started asking, okay, if Shields can beat her so clearly in front of her home crowd, is there anything Marshall can do differently next time? And that's the fascinating thing about that first pro collision. It didn't end the rivalry. It supercharged it. It made the stakes even bigger, because now it's not just about pride from the past. It's about redemption in the present. The thing that makes this rivalry so addictive is how different these two are inside the ring. It's literally the definition of styles make fights, because Claressa Shields is this pure technician, man. She's sharp, she's fast, her timing is laser precise. She moves like a fin computer in there, calculating angles, slipping shots, throwing combinations that are so clean you almost forget you're watching a women's fight because it looks like high-level men's boxing. That's how crisp she is. And then you put her against Savannah Marshall, who's the total opposite. She's rangy, she's awkward, she's got this thudding power that doesn't even look fast, but it lands heavy. She breaks people down. And that contrast, skill versus power, precision versus raw force, that's what people live for, because you never really know which one wins out on a given night. And even in their first fight, you could see those styles colliding. Shields was painting with speed and combinations. Marshall was trying to slow it down, lean on her, make it ugly, drag her into a dogfight, and fans eat that up because it's not just about who's better, it's about which style can dominate when it matters most. And when you add the history between them, that one amateur win Marshall has always carried, suddenly this becomes more than just a fight. It's like a laboratory experiment on combat sports itself. What matters more at the highest level, supreme skill or fight-ending power? And that question keeps the hype alive, because no matter how many times you see it, that clash of styles feels like it could flip either way. Here's the thing people underestimate. This fight isn't just about fists flying. It's about money, markets, global reach, and the kind of cultural impact women's boxing hasn't seen since Taylor versus Serrano, because Shields is this American superstar. She's got crossover appeal. She's on ESPN. She's flirting with MMA. She's talking Netflix deals. She's trying to expand beyond just the boxing bubble. And then you've got Marshall, who's this absolute draw in the UK. Every time she fights on Sky Sports, it's numbers through the roof. She's got that hometown hero energy. So when you put these two together again, you're not just selling a fight, you're selling a global event. US versus UK, legacy versus redemption, and promoters know this. That's why they're circling it like sharks, because if Taylor versus Serrano broke barriers, Shields versus Marshall too could smash them, and that's the fascinating part. You're not just talking about belts or rankings anymore. You're talking about mainstream eyeballs, casual fans tuning in, young girls who never watched boxing suddenly paying attention. And in 2025, with streaming platforms and crossover promotions, this rematch has the potential to be a billion-dollar story, and that's what makes it even crazier, because the business side actually feeds into the rivalry itself. It amplifies the stakes. It turns personal history into a product, and that's where combat sports thrives. At the end of the day, man, this whole thing boils down to something bigger than belts or paychecks. It's about legacy. It's about pride. It's about who walks away remembered as the best of their era, because Claressa Shields has already built a resume that's Hall of Fame level. Multiple weight classes, undisputed, two-time Olympic gold medalist. She's done everything on paper, but that ghost of Savannah Marshall beating her once still lingers. And for Marshall, this isn't about money as much as it is about validation, about proving that win wasn't some fluke in the amateurs, that she can do it when the lights are brightest. And that's what gives this fight such insane energy. Because both of them are fighting history, Shields wants to erase the last shadow on her record. Marshall wants to etch her name as the woman who conquered the greatest. And fans feel that, man, that's why even casuals care, because it's not just boxing, it's myth-making. It's watching two careers that have been intertwined for more than a decade finally collide again with everything on the line. And no matter who wins, the story they write in that ring will define not just their legacies, but the legacy of women's boxing as a whole. At the end of the day, this isn't just about Shields and Marshall. This is about the story of combat sports. This is about why we love fighting in the first place. Because fights like this carry weight, they carry history, they carry the emotions of two entire fan bases. And when that bell rings again, it's not just a rematch, it's a fucking moment in time that we'll all remember. No matter who wins, because that's the beauty of it, right? You don't just watch for the punches. You watch to witness greatness. You watch to see who breaks and who becomes immortal. And on that night, one of them is going to write her legacy in blood, sweat, and pure willpower. So to both of them, good luck and thank you, because this is the kind of fight that reminds us why combat sports is the most honest, most brutal, most human thing on the planet.